okay, maybe this ain't for me. I tried to be a homeowner. Do I think I can be a landlord? I don't know. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Mercedes. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, as always, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about home ownership. I don't want to leave you guys high and dry. It's been a while since I touched on being a homeowner. We are about to be on year 4. June 2024, I will have been a homeowner for 4 years. Yeah, crazy. Time flies. So let's talk about it. Okay guys, so I have some notes on my phone. If you see me looking down, that's why, because I want to make sure that I'm touching on everything, because it's been 4 years. We got to go down the list. We got to give the good, the bad, the ugly. I purchased my home in 2020. I purchased a new construction home, and I've been living in my home since I purchased it. I haven't rented it out or anything like that. So I'm going to give you my opinions on homeownership as a single woman, as a single mom, as a single person homeowner, okay? And remember, these are just my opinions. Okay, let's get it. People think, oh, new construction, you don't have to worry about repairs for X amount of time. I'm going to say that is not true. Get that out of your head. Just because it means new construction doesn't mean your builder was perfect, doesn't mean your home is good to go. So when I moved into my home, you have inspections that take place prior to you moving in. I had an inspection. I paid somebody to come out, inspect the house, $700. And it was very much like, did the builder pay you? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So when I purchased my home, it was the peak of COVID. Like, COVID had just started, really. Like, we had just started. I think we were getting on lockdown. Like, when I found my home and I was like, yes, this is the home I want. I was outside. Like, I was outside shopping and looking for homes. So I think, like, right before I actually started to close on my home after it was built and stuff, that's when COVID started and we were kind of just shut down. That's right. So yeah, I started my home buying process at the end of 2019 into 2020 when COVID was at its, oh, can I say that? I don't think I can say that. So we're just going to say the C word. When the C word was at its highest, that is when I purchased my home. Just to give you a background, so my inspection was, I wasn't on site when the inspector did the inspection, but I was on camera with him. He was showing me everything, he was telling me everything, and he went all through the house. He went in the attic. But to be honest, y'all, I'm just gonna be very real. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know. He's showing me the HVAC system. Okay. He's telling me what I should do as a homeowner and, you know, pour vinegar down the drain so you can clean out the lines and this and that. He's, you know, just showing me different stuff about a home that I had no idea about. I know. Don't judge me. So I go through my inspection. Everything's good. Everything passes. And then I come and I do a blue tape. So I tape off things that I feel that need to be repaired. So during that time, I had like paint touch-ups and cracks that I wanted to be fixed, or things that I wanted to be siliconed, and just minor stuff that I could visually see that I wanted to have repaired. If you purchase a home, do not close on your home until all of the blue tape items are fixed, because where they get you is they'll tell you, oh, you have a year to turn in anything that you want repaired and we'll repair within the year or at your 1 year inspection. Don't believe the hype. They are telling a story, because when I tell you the story changed when it was time for that 1 year inspection, the story changed. So there's this crack. It's like a big noticeable crack on one of my columns in my hallway, and it annoys me so bad. But when I told them that it needed to be repaired, they were like, oh, well, we only repair cracks that a quarter can fit inside. If there was a crack in my home that a quarter can fit inside, we would have other problems. So just going through that 1 year inspection, all they did was paint touch-ups. It was very annoying to me, because why would you lie? Because I would have never signed off and closed on my home if I knew you weren't going to repair these things. This is a lot of money that I'm spending, and it may be just small cosmetic stuff, but it matters. If you're spending that type of money on anything, you should want it to be up to your standards. So my only advice, get the blue tape stuff fixed before you sign off on those documents, because they will give you the runaround. So moving on, other repairs that I've had in my home. So the first repair that I noticed, my granite in my kitchen was chipped. It was like a small chip. And the only reason why I noticed is because when I was cleaning my counters, the towel was getting snagged. And I'm like, okay, this is annoying. And again, my Granted, it's so busy, you would never be able to notice it, but I noticed it because I was cleaning and the towel was getting snagged, and then I started touching it and you can feel where it was chipped. So I put in a work order with my builder and I told them, hey, my granite is chipped. Can you guys repair it? They decided to epoxy it, and I wasn't upset about it because it was literally a small crack. So I'm like, y'all not about to replace these whole countertops for something so small, okay? So I ended up getting that repaired. That was the first thing I noticed in my home that needed to be repaired, and was actually repaired. And again, it's all covered by the builder at this time. Then I have my guest bathroom where anytime you would wash your hands or just use the water in that bathroom, the water would splash up on the sink, which, okay, that's normal, but the water would be sliding off the sink like this and going down and dropping at the bottom of the counter in the wall. So it would just puddle up with water, and eventually it would cause water damage, and then that could potentially turn into mold. So what happened was my sink that they installed was not leveled. So the sink was defective. It was nothing that they could do. They couldn't level it or anything because it was level. It was just the sink itself had a slant in it. I don't really know how to explain it. So anytime water would get on the sink, instead of like draining into the sink or just staying still so it can be cleaned up, it would just slide off. So my sink had to be replaced, and then the side cabinet of my cabinet in my guest bathroom had to be replaced. So that was something that was also covered under the builder because it was within that 1 year time frame that I noticed it and requested a work order for it to be repaired. The only thing with that is I had already changed out the fixtures in that bathroom, changed out the mirror and all of that, and they were like, well, we can't work on it because you have all of these items that we did not install, so you have to get somebody to come out, uninstall it, and reinstall it for you because we can't touch it. Yeah, headache. So that happened, and then another thing that I had to deal with was my AC. Now, as someone who is a problem solver, I assess the problem and I look for solutions. I'm not one to dwell on the problem. I'm not one to cause myself a stress attack. I just want a solution. So my AC unit was not working. The wall thermostat was blank, but when I touched it, it was hot. So it told me that it was getting power. So I went to YouTube University, and I'm YouTubing all of these different things like how to know what's going on with your HVAC system. And they were just saying, oh, maybe you have a clog, you need to clean out your lines. I'm like, I think I'm doing my maintenance, but I might not have, remembered to pour vinegar down and hot water down this 6 months. So let me go do that. So I'm doing that. And then I come across a video where it says that your unit, in which my unit is in my attic, it gives you codes and it gives you different color lights depending on what's wrong with it. So I had a red light that was blinking a certain amount of times, and however many times it was blinking, it meant this. So my unit wasn't getting any readings from my thermostat. So I'm like, okay, let me call the people who are responsible for the thermostat, the company, and it's supposed to be under warranty, so this should be no problem. So I called them and I'm telling them, what's going on. And my thing is, before you call any company, always have some type of idea of what you're talking about, because they will make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about and they're right and you're wrong. So don't ever call a company like, oh, I don't know what's going on, it's just not working, because that gives them the opportunity to take advantage of you, especially as a single woman. I'm just saying, I don't know why society is like this, but it is. So for me, I'm never calling a company until I have some type of idea of what I think is going on. So in my mind, I'm thinking it's the thermostat, but I'm not about to sit on the phone and go back and forth with someone when they feel like, if this is what they say, oh, it's not our unit, it must be something going on with your HVAC system, or your electrical system. That's what he told me. Something must be going on with your electrical system, because there was a power outage in my neighborhood prior to the thermostat not reading. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's something going on with my electrical, but all the power, everything in my house is working just fine. All the kitchen lights and everything where the thermostat is working just fine. So at the end of the day, I go to Lowe's, I purchase a new thermostat, and the thermostat was a little different because mine that they had, it wasn't there. I guess they no longer sold it, so I got a newer version. I went to YouTube University, figured out how to uninstall the thermostat from the wall and install the new one, and guess what? It worked. So it was my thermostat. My thermostat went out after 3 years, and I thought that was pretty soon for a thermostat, but who am I? I don't know. So I paid $99 for a new thermostat, and I'm just thankful that it wasn't something else, okay? So for me, problem solved. Because I was on the phone calling my dad like, I need to borrow your shock valve or whatever that thing is called where you have to suck up water just in case. I needed to go and try to manually suck out my pipes if they were clogged. Like, when I tell you I'm a problem solver, I'm a problem solver. So for me, when it comes to home repairs and stuff, I will try to figure it out. If I can't figure it out, I want to have an idea of what I think is going on, and then I'm going to reach out to the people who I feel can do the work. And that way, I just feel like I'm more confident. You're not about to get over on me because I somewhat have an idea of what's going on. I don't know it all, but don't try to abuse me and overcharge me because I am a single woman. Not happening. Those were some of the repairs and stuff that I personally went through. Just other cosmetic stuff where my window, I forgot about that, my main window in my kitchen had to be replaced because when I moved in it was actually broke and I didn't realize it was broke. I didn't even blue tape it off, but yeah, it had to be replaced. As you can see with the new construction, it's a lot of cosmetic and minor repairs in the beginning. Now based on those cosmetic and minor repairs, you can kind of somewhat assume that down the line you're going to have some other issues being a homeowner because they just sometimes put these houses together without a care in the world. But let's pray for the best. So when I moved into my home, my goal was to live in my home for 5 years. I went into it knowing it was a starter home for me. I do have plans to purchase like my dream home. My dream home is not like a large big old home. It's just the home where I can pick out the layout. I know exactly how I want everything to go and how I want everything to look. I think with a starter home, it helps you get to that point because when I first purchased this home, I knew nothing. I didn't think I cared about the layout of the room. I didn't think I cared about where my refrigerator went or where my stove went, until I actually purchased my home, lived in my home, and realized I don't like my windows on this wall. So when I purchase my dream home, I want to make sure that my windows are on this wall. The layout, where my house faces, how it sits, all of that matters to me now, opposed to when I first purchased the home and I knew nothing. I just thought, oh, I want an office, I want a 2-car garage, I want a backyard. That's not it. That is not it. But you only learn from experience. So I had to become a homeowner and I had to learn what I like and what I dislike. And that's all a part of the journey. Being a homeowner, I've learned like people compare rent to a mortgage. And I would say in this economy at this time, there's been times when I've been frustrated with my mortgage because it goes up every year because of property taxes and home insurance. Those things go up and people are like, well, see, that's why I don't want to be a homeowner. But then you have rent prices that also go up, and that's why people feel like, well, I don't want to rent because rent prices are always going up. So you have to pick your battle, okay? Because honestly, they're neck and neck. If I'm getting a raise on property taxes and insurance, that means that landlord that's renting a apartment, townhome, or a house to you is also getting an increase, and they're not going to want to front that bill. They're going to be looking at their tenants to front that bill. So really, I say home ownership, if you plan to live in the home, is a long game. What I mean by a long game is you're playing a long game of your investment. You're not going to see your investment as quickly as somebody who's flipping a house, as quickly as somebody who's being a landlord and charging rent prices. You living in your home, you're not making any money. You're just paying money unless you're renting out a room or something to somebody. But 9 times out of 10, your family is living in your home. I say it's a long game because when I get to retirement age 30 years from now, I don't want to be starting over with a new mortgage. When I get to retirement 30 years from now, I don't want to still be paying rent. So if I was to stay in my home 30 years from now, this house would be paid off as far as a mortgage. The only thing that I would have to worry about is my property taxes and my home insurance. If you can't see the future, homeownership may not be for you. It may be hard. You're going to have tough times. You're going to have repairs. You're going to have unexpected expenses. It's so much that goes into homeownership. I promise you, I know. Landscaping, inside, outside. You want your home to look a certain way on the outside. It has to look a certain way on the inside. You got to make sure that you're keeping up with maintenance and all of that. It's a lot for anybody, and some people say that's not for them, and that's okay. I understand 100%. I'm a person that will do it myself. Even when I live in an apartment, y'all, when maintenance didn't come, I would figure it out. I'm not a person that depends on other people. Now, with a home, there's going to come a time when it's going to cost money to repair and fix things. And I get it. It's going to be stressful. But that's with anything. Living in an apartment, you're dependent on and waiting on somebody else to move to get stuff done for you. And same with the home. I mean, you have to go through and call people unless you can make the repairs yourself. But 9 times out of 10, you're the one in charge. You're the one, making the appointments, figuring things out. You're scheduling, what date and time. With maintenance, it's on their time. Okay? It's on their time. So I think for me, homeownership has been okay. There's been times where I'm like, what am I doing? When my mortgage increases, and I say mortgage, but I'm talking about my property tax and my insurance increases, I'm like, okay, maybe this ain't for me. I'm a single woman. I'm on a single income. I need help. I want help, and when I first got into my home, it was a 5-year plan that I had. And I thought that within that time, I was going to meet my husband. We were going to be able to build a house together, but that's not my reality. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, that didn't work out, so I think I'm going to go back to apartment renting. I don't think that's for me. I want to be able to pass down something to my children, whether that's property. I want to be able to build a portfolio with real estate. If real estate was not lucrative, we wouldn't have all these landlords here. I'm just being honest. Do I think I can be a landlord? I don't know, but I'm going to try. It doesn't hurt to try. I tried to be a homeowner. It's okay. I'm not going to say it's the best, but it's okay. I can try to be a landlord. The only thing with a landlord, I take pride in this home because it was my first home and it's sentimental, right? So if you get tenants that don't appreciate and don't take care of your home, it can be frustrating. I think that's the most frustrating part as a landlord, especially when you have an attachment to a property. If I'm just buying property and flipping it, I don't really have an attachment to it. Cool. But this was my first home, and handing it off to somebody is going to be tough, and I know that. But that's something that I have to deal with when the time comes. But I still enjoy being a homeowner. I take pride in being a homeowner. My repairs may seem minor, but they were inconveniences. I had to call, I had to schedule, I had to ask. Inconveniences. I had to do plenty of research when my AC and my heat wasn't turning on. I literally stayed up for 2 days trying to figure out what was going on. But like I said, I'm a solution person. Like, let me get to the solution, because I'm not going to be able to sleep until I get a solution to this problem. And that's just how I've always been. Even with my cars, even with my home, even with anything that I do, it's always solution based. And this is no different. And I know it's well, should I buy a house? Should I rent? It is all about you. What you want. Because it's up and down in both areas. It's up and down. I just say, sometimes we just live for today, but I also like to look at tomorrow. Where am I going to be in 30 years? Am I going to be starting over? Am I going to have enough money in retirement to afford rent in 30 years? Am I going to have enough money in retirement to start over and buy a new house if I don't buy one now? Like, if I don't buy my dream house in the next few years, am I going to wait 30 years to buy a dream house and have a mortgage again? Or in 30 years, I can have this mortgage paid off and run it out, and all that money is just extra money until a repair or something comes about. Or I can stay in this house and only have to worry about property taxes and insurance. You got to weigh your options. When you're living in your home and you're a homeowner, the investment doesn't seem like it's at reach. It's like, what am I doing? Is this worth it? Because you got to put in a little more time in order to see your investment pay off. But I think that 60, 65-year-old me will be happy with the decisions that I made at 24, 25, 26. So although I can't tell you whether to purchase a home or continue to rent, I can only share my experience. I can only tell you guys how I felt. And don't get me wrong, there's been times where I've cried because I'm like, how am I going to be able to afford my mortgage? You guys watch my budget videos. You see my mortgage is not cheap. But I also look around at rent prices, and they're not cheap. Rent prices in my area is $2,700 for 3-bedroom homes. If you want a apartment, you're going to be looking at $2,500, and it's like, I got too much stuff. Why would I go from a 4-bedroom to a 2-bedroom apartment for $2,500 and only 1,000 square feet? It doesn't make sense for me in my life right now where I am. Even this house, sometimes I'll be like, maybe I didn't need all this space. Maybe I didn't need all these rooms and stuff because I got to clean this house. You know, that's why when I say about my dream home, it's not a big mansion. It's a small square foot home, but it's the way I want it. Because I don't want a big home. Because when I'm 60 and 65, traveling, living my life, I don't want to be worried about cleaning my house or having to pay somebody to come and clean my house. Just like now, I don't feel comfortable with having someone else clean my house. I don't feel comfortable with someone that close to my space and where I lay my head at. Personally, that's just my opinion. So I gotta get up and clean this house all the time. And it's not easy cleaning a 4-bedroom house. But, you know, this is what I did. I went into this home knowing that it may be a starter home for someone else. So I couldn't just, I can just live in a 2-bedroom house. But if I wanted to sell this house, who want to buy a 2-bedroom house? Not too many people. But a 4-bedroom house for a young family would be a great starter home. So I went into this house with an investment-like mindset. And I knew one day that it will pay off. I know it's going to pay off one day. I may not see it today. I may not see it tomorrow or in a few years. But eventually, I do feel like it was a good investment for me at my age and where I was. I'm not a person that wants to move around and move every year or every other year. I like to stay in place and figure out what's next, and that's where I am. I said this was going to be 5 years, and here we are in year 4. So I have a year to decide what I'm going to do. I want my daughter to go to a school that she will be at to graduate high school. After this, I don't want to move her continuously, so I really have to decide what I'm going to do. So are you guys looking to purchase a home? Let me know in the comment section. Do you prefer renting or do you see yourself purchasing a home? How do you feel about my opinions that I've stated in this video? Comment down below and let me know. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up so that I know you guys like these types of videos, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But I will see you guys in another video. Bye guys.